Hi, I'm Colin with CS180HS, and this week we have.
I'm Robin. Today we're going to go through the second test, and the email generator problem. So let me flip this around. This whole one. All right. So first we're gonna go through the test. First of all, there was a little issue with this first problem. How there were two answers with 4 bytes, and it kept telling you were wrong if you picked the wrong letter. So we went back and fixed that. So if you're worried about that, we added points back. And then one of the most commonly missed questions was this short answer right here. And it says a programmer writes an assignment statement as shown below. When she tests her code later, the results don't match her expectations. Explain any errors you have found in the logic of the code and provide an example of how the code could be fixed so that the result is more in line with the expected outcome. So a few things about this question, some terminology for just typical CS questions. This line right here says explain any errors you have found in the logic of the code. So if we look at the code right here, it initializes miles, initializes hours, and then there's some code not shown here. And this is just a comment to tell you that there's extra code that we can assume assigns values to miles and hours. So this line right here, since we're looking for an error in the logic of the code, we can assume that the syntax is correct. So the program is going to compile. We have values assigned to our variables. So now we're going to look at this statement and find out why we're not getting the expected answer, but we are still getting an answer. So this is the given answer. The programmer wishes to have a decimal result, but has forgotten the result of division involving 2 integers produces an integer outcome. So that just basically means miles is an integer, hours is an integer, and when you divide an integer by another integer, you're going to get an integer. You're not going to get a decimal. So if let's say you divide 2 by 3, you're not going to get 0.6667. You're going to get 0.
Want to look at it in the Java?
Sure. So I'll just
or we can
open
reset
up Okay, so ignore that part. How do you reset it? Thank you. Okay, so we have int miles equals, we could assume that it assigned a value to it in the code not shown part. Int hours equals 4. And then double x equals miles divided by hours. And then we're going to print out x. And we get 1.0. The reason for that is 5 divided by 4 is 1 if you're just looking at if you floor the value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it'll turn it into a double. So once you have 1, then it'll add the 0.0 to turn it into a double. So to fix this, what we need to write is double x equals, we're going to assign one of the, actually, I'm going to have another parentheses here. We're going to assign one of the integers, we're going to cast it to a double first. That way, when it does the operation, it'll return a double instead of an integer. So we're just going to cast miles. So that's casting miles to a double. And then we'll divide by hours. And then now we get 1.25, which is the expected answer. So one common mistake is a couple people wrote this, and actually this is what I originally did, and then realized it would not work as well. But what's wrong with this? This is not going to work because this is going to happen first. This operation is going to take place, and then it will assign it a double, which it already does when you assign it to x. So this is also going to print out 1.0. So you actually have to cast to one of the integers first. So that is the first problem that we had some issues with. And the wording of that one was a little bit different. You just have to understand that we're looking at the logic of the code, not the syntax. The next, I'm just going to look at my cheat sheet real quick. Okay, so we did that. Difference. Okay, so we're going to look at the first essay question. Or wait, wasn't there a multiple choice that we wanted to go through? I don't think I wrote that down. Okay, if you could try to find which one we wanted to go through. Okay, so the first essay question, where is that? Okay, so we want to write a class, and first thing to look at when a question asks for a class is there's a difference between asking for a class and a program. If you're instructed to write a program, then you're definitely going to have a main method so that the program can run and execute properly. But if they're just asking for a class, you can go ahead and write your main method to test it out, but we're really only asking for the class. So you just need the methods, the class methods, the constructors, and the variables. It doesn't actually, when you click run, nothing is going to run because you don't have a main method, but you're able to use that class in other programs. So this one's asking for a class variable, which is a string to hold a sentence, and then you have a constructor and a class method. The constructor is going to assign whatever string you give it to the class variable string, and we're going to go through this in a second. But the class method, oh, do I have this written down somewhere? Okay. So then we're gonna have a class method that is going to take in a string as a parameter, and it's going to look at that string and if that string exists in your class variable, then it's going to take it out of that string. So there are two different ways to do this, and I wanted to illustrate in this problem how the use of the Java API is really important. So the way that I initially did it is, we're just going to look at this. This is how I initially executed the class method. So we're going to assume, sorry, this is in Notepad. Actually, let me just do this in Notepad. Okay. So, okay, so first we have a class variable. And then we're going to have a constructor. And in that constructor, we're going to take in a string. And this is stuff you guys have probably gone through in the videos, so we'll go through this really quick. You're going to assign that. You're going to assign this is the class variable, and you're going to assign this parameter to the class variable. All right, and now for the class method. So we're just going to do remove. We're actually going to return a string. Copy and paste this. Okay, so this is my original code for this method. First, I find the index of to remove in a sentence. So let's say you have a sentence. What was the example that they gave us? So in this example, a kitty cat is at the door. So that's going to be our sentence right here. And then our to remove is cat. So we're going to remove cat. So we have to find the first index of cat and then add it to a new string that we're going to return. And so we're going to start by adding the first index of the sentence to wherever cat is. And then we're going to add the rest of the sentence excluding cat. So this is this is not super complicated, but it's 3 lines of code. It's a lot of thinking. And if we just look at later, when I thought about this a little bit more, went and looked at the Java API. Do that. I'm sure that we've gone through. Have we gone through the videos going to the API? Okay, so this is just all the documentation on all the methods and classes available in Java. So right now we're working with a string class. There it is. All right, so this is the string class. So this is just kind of examples on how to use it. And then you get to the constructors and the methods. And this is what we're going to look at. So these are all the methods you could use with strings. And if you take the time to actually look through some of these, you'll find a method called replace all. And replace all replaces each substring of the string that matches the given regular expression with a given replacement. So basically that just means reg x, that's their parameter, is going to be what you're replacing, and then string replacement is what you're going to replace it with. So instead of doing all of this, we can simply just sentence.replace all, and then we're going to do to remove. That's the one we're going to remove, and we're just going to, since we want to remove it completely, we don't want to replace it with anything, we're just going to replace it with an empty string.
Now regex, that's the thing that it's taking in is this parameter here. It was saying that in the Java APIs. So we're not going to cover that in this class really, but that is an extremely useful thing that you can look over in the field of computer science. You can basically put in anything you want, and it'll any kind of sequence of characters, and it'll figure out. Oh, sorry. And it'll figure out what you want it to replace it with. So you could say, I want to replace all numbers with something else. So and then they have special operators that would allow you to.
So you're not just limited to, I want to replace this specific string.
Exactly.
You can replace. You can explore that a little bit, and that's like, so like you said, that's not something we're going to cover in this class. But anything, when you go on and take classes in college, or if you ever do anything with this, you're going to eventually learn that the professors won't teach you all the different methods you need to know. You're going to eventually have to kind of learn it on your own. Or, I mean, obviously, if we take a look at, where are we? If we take a look at this API, there is nobody on this planet that knows all of these classes and all of the methods in those classes. So you're just going to look at the API. If you find yourself writing code and you're like, there's probably a method that can do this for me, I'm probably doing too much work, take a look at the API, go through some of the methods in the class you're using, and that way you can kind of learn as you go. And in the future, it will take you a much shorter time to write these programs. Mm-hmm. So that was, okay, let's go back to the question. So another thing with this question is that I wanted to go over, I already went through kind of how a main method is a lot different than a class method. A main method is where the actual program, that's what executes. So your program is going to go through the main method and be like, let me show you an example. Hold on. So in this email generator, we're going to go over this a little bit. But this is the main method. So when the program looks at this, it's going to do this first, and this, and this, and this. And these things are going to call what's up here. So this main method, when you're not asked to write a program, you don't have to include that. You just have to include what's in here, and that's what we were asking for on the test. And so a lot of you guys wrote your entire program in the main method. And so we're actually looking for you writing your constructors, which we've gone over, class variables, which you can access from all the methods in the class and not just local variables like this, like username or address. So just if you find yourself writing everything in the main method, go back over those videos in topic 2 and look at what should be in the class method and what should actually be in the main method. Okay, so now
we had those other questions, by the way, that we wanted to look through. There were two of them. One was the integer division one.
okay.
So just another thing with integer division, you have to remember that it's dividing it, and it won't make it into a double. So 4 divided by 3 does not equal 1.3333. It equals 1.
And this is what we discussed up
and
here.
that's exactly that's what we talked about earlier.
So, and then the other problem, I found it right here. Okay,
Mhm.
so I wish I wrote what number that was on the test. All right,
Oh,
so we're
I
gonna
couldn't see
look.
that anywhere.
Where here is that it? That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this question was another commonly missed question. It's asking which of the segments below print out a different output than the other statement. So basically, you have to assess each of these statements, and you're going to find that all but one of them assess to 11. And the correct answer is A, and we're going to go through that, why that is in a second. So you can see for this one, you start off x equals 10, you add 1 to x, and then you print out x, so x is obviously 11. This one you're adding 4 to 7, so it's 11. 12 minus 1 equals 11. So we're going to go, the reason why this one is not 11 is because of the difference between this shortcut versus, there's two different types of shortcuts. Let me go to the interactions. Reset. Okay, so you have x plus and x equals 1. And then if you were to type this, you're going to get 1. That's because x plus plus is going to add 1 to x after the statement is executed. Whereas if you were to type plus plus x, is that not?
Oh, well, now x's too.
Oh, no,
So,
okay,
yeah.
okay. Okay, so we just printed out x plus plus, or we just printed out this line right here. It added 1 to x after it printed it out, so if we print out x now, it should be 2. So now we're going to set x back equals 1 and look at if we wrote this, it's going to add 1 to x, and then it will execute system.out.println. So that's just knowing the difference between x plus plus and plus plus x. That's just another one of those special cases you just have to recognize. All right, so now I think we are going to start the email generator project.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that
And
one?
sure. And one thing, there was one other commonly missed question on the exam, and that was the one on substrings, which you went over substrings in the thing you wrote there. But just if you look at the Java APIs, it has it with the indexing. The main problem, a lot of people chose it so that it started,
Which one do you want to
substring.
Substring. Oh, don't know now. But... Okay, so we're looking at this right here.
Yep. So there are two ones. That one will just return everything after that, I believe. And then this one will go from beginning index to end index. So starting at 4 and then going to 8, that returns urge because everything starts at 0. It doesn't start at 1. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is U. It is where it starts, and then it ends at 8.
And keep in mind that 8 is exclusive. So it's not going to return, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is U, 5, 6, 7, 8 is R. But it's not going to include 8. So it includes the first parameter, it includes the beginning index, but it doesn't include the ending index.
Exactly.
So if you wanted to do 4 to the end, if you wanted to do U to R, you're not going to be able, you're going to have to use the substring with just one parameter, which is the beginning index, and then it'll go all the way to the end. So you'd write hamburger.substring 4 returns URGER.
Yep.
All right.
All right. And now email.
Okay. So did you? How did we want to do this?
I don't know.
You have that on your computer.
Yeah.
So
That works.
do you want to do
Sure.
this? Or do you want me to type
sure.
it?
Either way,
I'll type
I don't care.
it. Okay.
All right.
So just
Start out. Oh, and I'm gonna throw this to the side and pull up the assignment.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, the assignment. Do you have the assignment
Yeah,
sheet
I
up?
have it up
Should
here
we,
so they can see it.
pull that up. All right.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
we can
on
just
here.
alternate between those, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So here's
starting
your email generator assignment.
So first, we need to design a class called email generator. Okay, this class will hold the main method and the class methods that we will write. Yes. So we've written email generator, and then it'll have a main method, public static void main string args. So we have a main method at the moment. So write an empty main method. The method should appear inside the curly braces of the email generator class. That happened. So next we write 2 static class methods, make username and make email. Do you want to go over those or
These are class methods. So these are not going to be inside this main method. Most important thing, a lot of you guys didn't realize that it's not going to be inside the main method. You're going to do this outside, and then
sure. All right. So the first thing, it makes make username. That's the first one we're making. The method make username should take 2 string arguments and will return a string. So let's and the method should combine the first letter of the first string and combine it with the full second string, returning the final string in all lowercase letters. So let's go ahead and make that. So it's going to be string, because we're returning a string. Yes. Did it say that? Oh, static class methods. All right. Yeah.
I don't know why they're static, but for the heck of it.
Yeah, they don't really need to be static. We could just call them using whatever class object we make in the main method, but they're static. So you don't need to call them using the we'll talk about that when we get into the main method, but yeah, so
I didn't realize that.
yeah, so they are, neither did I, because I didn't write that in mine. So make username, it takes 2 parameters, string username, wait, no, sorry, I moved on. First name and string last name. So we're taking the first letter of the first string and then all of the second string. And then this method is going to have, okay, yeah, we have time for now. Return first name dot char at 0. I don't know whether to say char or car. I've never
I just say character. I don't even try it. I don't even attempt it.
Yep. So this is one of those methods that's in the Java APIs. You can look it up. Which, I mean, hopefully you should know that already. But so that just goes over, that's the first one, the very first one, car at 0. And then we are concatenating that. After that, we write last name, because we just want all of last name.
And concatenating means adding the strings together.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we want it all in lowercase. So that is one big thing, because some people were doing it so that it would look like if mine is cashburn at purdue.edu.
Don't spam him.
Oh, great. this might be a bad idea. But so if it weren't in lowercase, it would be like that. This is how it would print out because I put in capital Colin and capital Ashburn. So we want it to be all lowercase because that's how email addresses are. So.
And then also real quick, when right now he's doing this whole string in the parentheses right here, first name caret plus last name, that acts as one whole string object. So we can add the dot to lowercase because we're calling the method to lowercase on this whole highlighted object. Just to reiterate that.
Yeah, definitely. And then next we are making the we're making the make email. So the method make email should take 2 string arguments and will return a string, same as before. This method should combine the first string, an @ symbol, and the second string. So we need to static string make email. I think you are a faster typer than I, so if you want to do this, yeah.
I think you got it. I think
Well,
you're doing great. All right.
Yeah. So we're returning the username plus the @ symbol plus the address.
That is pretty straightforward. And I feel like I have to prove myself how fast I am at typing.
Sorry.
All right.
But actually, maybe you are.
Okay. So now we're gonna do the main method. Okay, so we have our 2 static class methods. Complete the definition for main. Program should create a new scanner object. We've done that before. To type in the first and last name, and then we'll make an email generator object. We'll go over later why you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
But for now, we're going to create an email generator object like we have in the past. And then use those first and last names, call the methods that we just created, and get the final product.
All right. So we are first creating the email generator object. Yep. Oh. Email generator. Yep. EG. And then we need to create a scanner object because we're going to be taking input from the user. So we only need 1 scanner object. We don't need a new one for each one. There were a lot of problems with that. So we are prompting the user. Print line. First name. And then collect that input from the user. So name.
Read line. It's the next line from the scanner.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to ask for the last name. So this is the part of the assignment that was asking for you to prompt the user.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And then we are making the username out of that. So we need to call those methods that we made before.
Okay, so the reason why we need a username because we want to make the email. That's our final goal. We want whatever this method right here returns. But to get that, we need a username. And right now we only have a first and last name. Thankfully, we have a make username class method that takes in the first and last name, which we have, gives us a username for us to input here. And then we'll get the final email. So that's what first we're going to call the make username method. First name, last name. So that's going to give us our username. That's going to give us Cashburn. It's kind of cool to say.
Sure.
All right, and then sorry.
Yeah, and then we are making the email out of that because we just got the username.
And it says that you can put in whatever address you want. So we're going to use purdue.edu So that is our
because we're fly
email.
like that.
And then last thing to do is we're going to look at the assignment. What does it exactly want us to say? It wants us to say this user email is, and then type out the email. So we're going to do system. And then we're going to just do plus the email. All right. Now we're going to hold our breath and see if it compiles. It does not. Why doesn't it compile?
Okay. Read line.
Cannot find. Did I imported?
Is read line? Yeah.
It's read line, right?
Is it read ln? I don't remember.
No, it's read line. What doesn't yours compile?
No, mine uses next.
Oh, I used read line.
Is it?
Is it read next or just?
Or
next?
I just did.
Use next. Okay. Stop doing that. All right. Now it compiles. All right. Sorry,
Yeah.
I used the wrong method.
I don't see.
There is no method read line. All right, I made that up. I apologize. Okay, so just standard dot next is that correct method. All right, let's see if this works. I'll give you my email too. Perfect.
Our Burkle.
Looks good.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. It looks like we're done.
Yeah. Oh, and we just wanted to talk about really quickly mentioning how since we made them static, we made the method static.
Okay. So the reason why well, I guess there isn't. Okay. So the reason why we actually don't have to have this line right here, when a method or a class is static, we don't have to make an object to use their methods. So the method, if you've ever used the class math, math is a static class. Is the whole class static? The math class is static, so you can just type in. We'll go to our interactions. You can just type in math. Well, we'll print it out so you can actually see it happen.
Oh, you can do it.
You
just typing. Yeah, in the interactions. Yeah. Thing.
Okay. Math dot. So if you did like. You can just use the math class. You don't have to do math m equals new math and then call m dot absolute value. So instead, we're just going to comment this out. We don't really need that. Instead, we can, wherever we call eg.makeUsername, we're going to use the class name. And the assignment sheet actually asked you to make a, did I spell that right? So this is going to compile just the same. The assignment sheet actually asked you to create an object. So the first way we did it is how we expected it. But just so that you guys know what static does, this is something else you could do.
Yeah, and you could also just say make username as well. That would also so even without the object.
Right.
Yeah. So and any of those things, if it's static, then it can be accessed by any object. Whereas
just kidding, you can't do that. I was just curious.
Yeah. Whereas if it's not static, then it can only be accessed by that one object.
Right.
Each object has to access it. You can't just access it.
All right. So that's all we have for you guys today. We're probably going to do these video hours next week too. So we can make a Piazza post when we post this video. We'll ask you guys if there's anything you want us to go over. We can just continue to go over the current projects and the tests as they come. But if there's anything you want us to explain through these video, if there's anything you want us to explain through these like video chats, we can do that too. Just ask.
Please put them on Piazza.
Yep, put them on Piazza.
We have posts for that. So.
All right.
Yep. See you next time.
Bye.